how I booked 332 meetings for a $10 million company just with cold email. One cold email system. You can see here, we keep the stats on Airtable. This is what the front end of the dashboard looks like, where you can see the high level metrics. 597,000 emails sent, 138,000 leads contacted, over 5,000 replies, 900 leads generated, and then 332 meetings booked right here. Pretty good results. That's all within 5 months of working with this client. So we're sending a little bit over 100,000 emails a month as it stands right now. And safe to say that we're happy with the result. Now, a lot of people have this same kind of objections when it comes to cold email. It didn't work for them. They've tried it in the past and they've been burned by agencies before. Cold email is a scam. I get it. I understand why you might think that way. But then we look at campaigns like this and plenty of other ones that we have ran before. And I will be upfront and say that these results are not typical. You should never go into a campaign expecting these types of results. You probably can't even send 600,000 emails without burning your infrastructure. The problem is with cold email is that most companies don't have an amazing offer that they can run through cold email. Most companies don't have a massive market that they can run through cold email to make it work. You need high volume. The same way you would think about Facebook ads, where you're putting your offer in front of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. You need to be doing the same thing with cold email. It is your offer, and then it is your deliverability that drive a ton of your success on cold email. Do you have a good offer? And can you confidently send 600,000 emails? It's likely, if you've been burned in the past, your cold email partner or you did not spend enough time on your offer. You did not work with someone who actually knows how to send 600,000 emails and not land in spam. So you guys didn't work on the offer enough, and then you weren't capable of sending high volume. It's very simple after you get those very difficult points right. Okay, so just going back to this client before, I just wanted to set the stage there a little bit and explain that cold email isn't for every business. You need to have a good offer. If you don't have a good offer, you better be flexible in creating one. You need to be in a large market where it can support this level of volume. It's not worth it to set up all these systems if you have a total addressable market of 5,000. Pick up the phone and start calling these people. You still want a great offer, but running an automated high volume cold email system just isn't for your business. Diving into this specific client, things that they were struggling with before we actually started working together. Number one was they, like a lot of people, had tried cold email before and it didn't work. When we audited their past setup, it became very clear to me that there were glaring issues in terms of the client wasn't consistent in terms of reporting with them. So it was likely they were just trying to hide in the shadows and hopefully get away with a couple months of retainer. When we reviewed the copy, it was very clear there was no thinking going into the offer creation, offer structure, segmenting of the leads to have different offers for different individuals. There wasn't much strategy being done at all. It was very much a let's build a list and spray it with the same generic messaging to as many people as we can. It never works. Company we were working with, they were a larger company, so they were running other channels. They were running SEO, Google ads, and Facebook ads, but they felt limited by what they were able to do on there. SEO and Google ads is you're obviously limited by how many people are searching for you, where you rank, and then how much can you spend on these search keywords that are relevant to your business. And then Facebook ads, they had hit or miss success on there. Some months it was great, and some months it completely crapped the bed. The company had growth goals that didn't match their lead generation efforts. So they had goals that they want to hit, but again, they felt limited by these channels that they were running, and so they were short of their lead generation goals, the targets that they needed to hit. So of course, they needed another channel. The thing is, the only channel that's as scalable as a channel like Facebook ads is cold email. Lastly, they were spending a fortune on sales reps to send emails that were untracked and highly manual. So I asked, how many emails are you guys sending a month? Well, I don't know. Bobby, Tim, and George all send emails every day out of HubSpot. How's it working? I don't know. They don't actually know how many meetings they're booking. They have this idea that because a human's doing it, it's potentially better than what an automated system can do, but it really just wastes their time. When we think about how much time sales reps are spending typing emails across the company, it's a complete waste of time when you have tools available to you now that can write better emails in a more scalable way. When we went through our process, we found kind of with a lot of similar companies, their desired state was first a scalable lead generation channel. Going back to their growth goals, they needed something that was scalable and that could put them in front of their entire market. They wanted consistent lead flow. The ebbs and flows of SEO, the Google algorithms, the Meta algorithms had them worried month over month in terms of Where are our leads going to come from? Are we going to hit the numbers we want to hit? Third, they wanted a system. Once we talked a little bit more about it, they wanted a system to enable their reps to spend less time sending emails and more time doing quality touch points. So the sales reps were focused on 10% of the market, maybe less. There's a whole 90% of the market that doesn't know you exist if you're not putting your offer in front of them. Lastly, they wanted proper tracking and quality emails that properly represent their brand and the solution they provide. They didn't want this spray and pray approach that gets back angry, negative sentiment emails. They wanted to know, how many emails are we sending? How many meetings are we booking? What's the ROI? Do we trust the people sending our emails? Are we writing good emails? So now I want to dive into exactly how I was able to get 900 plus positive responses and book over 300 meetings step by step so that you can implement it for your business. This is a little bit more high level. If you want more of a in the weeds kind of layout, like here's how to actually set it up, you can reach out to me directly and I can help you out with that. First things first, when we work with a client, we always look at offer positioning and overall strategy. As I mentioned before, having a good offer is probably the most important factor to your success in cold email. Most businesses don't have good offers ready. And so our job is to look at different offer types that are working across our client base and present offer ideas to the client. So we might work with another agency who says, we do SEO. Okay, that's great, but everybody else does SEO. SEO becomes very hard over cold email when you just go out and say, we do SEO. Doesn't book you any meetings. I promise you, we've tried it. It does not work. What you need to have is a relevant offer to that individual. Where does that individual rank? What is their competitor's name? How and where do they rank? If you can say in your email, we saw that XYZ is outranking you on Google search, and we found 3 quick ways that you can fix it. Do you mind if I send those over? That's going to do a lot better than saying, hey, we do SEO. Does the business have a problem with their Google 5-star reviews? Do they have a low review rating or a low review count? Is that a specific offer that you can help them optimize their Google business profile around, right? AI SEO, if you search in ChatGPT, where does Andrew's company show up, or who is the best cold email company in the United States, and my business doesn't show up, and you email me about that and you say how you can fix that or offer a competitive breakdown, that is a good offer. I know I'm going on a tangent here, but at the end of the day, our job is to help businesses craft good offers that can work on cold email. Not just the offer like what do we do and the solutions we solve, but what can we provide to this business on the front end, whether it's a loom, whether it's a lead magnet, whether it's a part of your service we can deliver for free, whether it is just a scorching hot offer. That is what we want to work with the business to achieve. Second is relevant outreach beats hyper-personalization. This was a super key insight into the campaign that we're running here, especially when we're sending 600,000 emails, which is simply that having a relevant argument for why you're reaching out beats trying to find all these weird personalization layers in your email. We're running emails that the only level of personalization we have is the first name. There's some subtle personalization there, like we can call out the type of industry that they're in, but ultimately, if we're segmenting our list in a large market and we can speak directly to an individual where we know they have this pain point and we know the offer is relevant to them, so we have a relevant argument and then a relevant offer, that's going to perform much better than trying to trick them into thinking this is a one-to-one email. It's okay to be an advertisement. People get advertisements all the time. What's not okay is if it's an annoying advertisement. You want your advertisement to be relevant, thoughtful, and strong, right? And so that's what we work on. We're not trying to game the system by pretending like I wrote this email only for you. People aren't stupid, right? And so we focus on being relevant to the individual we're talking to, understanding what their pain points are, what do they care about, and what is an offer that makes sense for them. Most client campaigns you audit, people are not doing this. They're not split testing by company size, by job title, different messaging style, different offers. They don't actually know what's working best or what's not. And so setting this up from the start, building out the campaigns with this in mind, if you're sending 300,000 emails and you don't have any insight for the company on what's working and what's not, you're in a bad spot. And then last thing is just that the volume that we get you, being able to send 100,000 emails a month, that allows you to test super fast, iterate quickly, and find winners. So you can find winning campaigns and then work like hell to scale those up. That's enough, really on the offer positioning. Of course, we do copywriting, but a lot of times when you can build that strong offer and you're relevant and you're split testing properly, You're segmenting your leads. The offer and the copy writes itself. After offer positioning and strategy, the next important thing is our list building. To have relevant outreach, you need to have a relevant list. You need to trust in the contacts that you're hitting. You need to trust that they're a good fit and that they are what we say that they are. If we say we're hitting SE or CEOs of SMBs in the legal industry, we need to be damn sure that that is what we're hitting, right? And so splitting this out into its own section, hiring around this role specifically for go-to-market engineers, and all they do is focus on list building, has been a huge game changer. When we do list building, the first thing that we do is we build a TAM report. So we take the client's onboarding form, we take everything they say about their ICP, any additional questions we might have, and we build out this extensive TAM report. You can see here, this is a quick snippet of one, but essentially what this looks like is we look at your industry, how many businesses are in those locations, and then we might do some average annual spend or TAM market size for this client in specific. We did do that. And then we will go down to the individual title as well. So how many of this role might there be, just to get an understanding before we go and build the list of where should we be spending our time. You know, if there's a TAM that only has 5,000 folks, we're not going to spend a ton of time there. And then important to note here, when you're building lists in large markets, the most important things are one, having clean data. It is very easy when you have hundreds of thousands of rows to have dirty data. And I'm not talking about, verifying the emails because that's a solved problem. I'm talking about making sure that you're hitting the right individual at the right company. So the way we build lists is we always do company first and people second. We look for primary sources, databases, public filings, softwares where we can find your ICP somewhere that is an Apollo or Zoom info, right? Because if we pull up a lawyer database, we are pretty confident that 100% of those people are going to be lawyers. 100% of those companies are going to be law firms. So we look for databases where we can find these companies, and then we will go and extract or scrape the company names. So we use these primary sources to build the initial base of our list where we can. Google Maps is another great place to do this before we go into tools like Apollo, Clay, Zoom Info, Lucia to do all this additional lead sourcing. Once we have the company names, then we move into finding the people at those companies. That is really where tools like Apollo and Clay become super helpful, is that we can use their find people search on a specific list of domains that we've qualified first at the company level to then say, go find me the CEO, go find me the CFO, go find me the head of HR. When you try to do these two at the same time, it becomes a lot harder to clean that data after the fact because you're qualifying for two different data points. It's better to batch these up and do it that way. Next is segmentation. To be able to do a lot of the list building stuff works hand in hand with the strategy work that we do. And to be able to split test these campaigns, it's really important that we are segmenting these lists. And we do a lot of this work up front in Clay as well. But we're segmenting by job title, we're segmenting by industry, we're segmenting by the size of the business, SMB, middle market, enterprise. And then we are segmenting based on individual data points. So again, if we're talking to law firms, are they a divorce lawyer? Are they a civil lawyer? Are they a PI lawyer? There's so many different types. And so being able to have that segmentation and also to potentially use that in the outreach is incredibly important. So again, just to kind of high level this, when we do list building, it's important that we identify how big is this market so we know kind of where to play. And then when we are building these large lists, go look for primary sources, build the largest list of companies that you possibly can, and then use these large database tools to go find the actual contact and decision maker information at these companies. All right, so we have strategy, we have list building. The next important piece of this is infrastructure. So this is really about deliverability. How do we send 100,000 emails a month? Really what it looks like is having a shit ton of inboxes, a shit ton of domains, and then being able to track metrics at the individual inbox and individual domain level. So first, for this client in specific, we had 1,250 inboxes spread between both Microsoft and Google inboxes. We had the capacity to send 250,000 emails a month here. We are not sending 250,000 emails a month, but that is what we can send. We're doing ESP matching here. So if we're sending from our Microsoft inboxes, we want to know the ESP of the person we're emailing, which we can find, and we want to send Microsoft to Microsoft. We want to send Google to Google. Sometimes we will test other things. We've tested Google to Microsoft and Microsoft to Google. Certain things perform better and certain things don't, but we found the best and most consistent performance to protect the long-term health of these inboxes is to match the ESPs. Go Microsoft, and Google. That is the setup that we run to be able to send 100,000 emails a month. You're probably wondering why you have capacity for 250,000, but you send 100,000. And a lot of that is inbox rotation. So when we are sending 100,000 emails a month, you have the other half of your inboxes that are sitting in a warm-up pool. They're not in cold traffic, and what they're doing is they're just building authority over time. The longer the lifespan of these domains and inboxes, the better they're going to perform when they're actually in cold traffic, and they're going to perform for a longer time period. Our goal is to really protect these inboxes for forever, right? We don't want this to be a 3-month kind of thing where we have to go back and do this all over again, because at the end of the day, that is expensive to do. And so it just doesn't make business sense. It is much easier to spend on the additional capacity, rotate in and out, and have a 10x longer lifespan than if you were to just run at full capacity on your current inbox setup. And then last point that I didn't touch on here is we do deliverability management at the individual inbox level. So we track the inbox health based on very specific metrics, reply rate, bounce rate, warm-up score, warm-up rate, how many warm-up emails have been sent, how many cold emails have been sent, what does the trend look like? So how are the last 50 emails performing relative to the total lifespan of the inbox? And what we'll do is we'll pull inboxes out of cold traffic and bring other ones in based on the performance of those individual inboxes. We will also tag them as low performers, high performers, average performers, so that we know where do we have safety and where do we need to start rehabbing inboxes. Final note here on the campaigns and what made them successful is really around optimization and iteration. We were lucky in this campaign in that some of our first campaigns popped off and did really well. Not all of them did really well, but what we do here is we analyze the winning campaigns. What worked well? What didn't work well? And how does this drive new testing? So if something works really well, we want to understand why did it work well? Again, something everybody talks about, but if you don't set this up right from the start, it's going to be very hard for you to actually gain insights and be able to test new things and be able to scale winning campaigns when they come if you don't understand why they're performing well. So what we do when we see winning campaigns is, of course, we want to scale those as quickly as possible. We want to build more lists around those individuals, find more of those qualified contacts, find the winning variants within those campaigns, and ramp up the sending on those specific ones. There's other things that go into that, but essentially what we want to do is scale those winning campaigns. You'll see down here for this client, we've ran quite a few different campaigns. This isn't like any individual one of these campaigns just immediately popped off. Some of them performed really well and some of them didn't. And so it's our job to be able to understand what's going on, what do we need to change, what do we need to turn up, and what do we need to turn off. Another really cool thing that worked well for this client was running re-engagement campaigns. So we've been working with them for 5 months, right? We had leads in month 1 and month 2 that didn't turn into anything. And so we're now following up with them in month 5 to be able to regenerate new interest there. It's an easy win, it's a quick win, but they have really strong metrics in terms of positive response rate and meeting books. When you hit them, maybe at that time they weren't in their buying window, they had other things going on, they had priorities at their job that were taking over. And so coming back to them, not being afraid to hit them again, has worked really well for this client. In 5 months, for this client, we accomplished the following. We accomplished exactly what we set out to do here, in that we brought them a consistent and predictable lead channel. They have a very strong idea, and we do, of what to expect every week, every month through our cold email system. That makes their job a lot easier in terms of financial planning and hitting their growth targets. We freed up a ton of time for their sales reps to focus on more important revenue generating activities rather than sending lazy emails. Their sellers can focus on their best prospects in the market, their dream 100. They can send them lead magnets, they can create items for them and really go focus on driving that business while we hit their entire market. And then of course, the numbers matter. We booked them a ton of meetings, 332 meetings booked and 1,800,000 in estimated pipeline over the 5 months that we worked together. The reason why I say estimated pipeline is because we haven't set up the infrastructure with this client to be able to track down to the revenue level. It is something we're working on and something we very much want to do, but this client did not have the proper CRM infrastructure beforehand. It's probably something I should have been on the ball about given this level of performance, but it is something we're actively working on. So when we look at pipeline driven, that is our best metric in terms of success and the glowing reviews that we get from our client. Just to show you here, like people complain about the quality of leads from different areas as well. Cold email has great leads when you're hitting your market because if you're building good lists, the leads shouldn't be bad. For this company, we've booked meetings with Crunchbase, NerdWallet, Asanify, Sodexo, Barstool Sports. We've booked meetings with large companies, decision makers at large companies. So it's not like these are all small fries or people who don't even know how to work a computer, right? These are real leads with real businesses with real budget. Client said, this is the partnership I was missing for 15 years. I have high expectations and love to share the benefits of hard work. Sent that to me and the team. We do have a case study coming on this as well. So I want to be able to talk more about this in public. But I want to cover real quick how you can implement this and use it for your own business so that you can achieve the same results. Number one, again, you need to craft a compelling offer. Your offer is everything in cold email, and it drives a lot of success on paid ads, on Google ads, anywhere. Having a good offer makes doing business so much easier. If you're unclear on offer creation, that's a separate topic for a different video. But for you, I would start with digesting Alex Hormozi's content, $100 million offers. Second, you want to partner with a trusted team like Otto to help you get set up properly as far as your domains, your inboxes, your sequencer, your lists. It is worth outsourcing this stuff to experts to make sure that it's done right the first time. You don't want to waste 3 months, and you don't want to waste thousands of dollars trying to get this set up on your own if you don't actually know what you're doing. Third is I would think about cold email as a funnel the same way you would with paid ads. It's okay to educate your leads. You want to provide value. Don't push too hard for the sale. It is a marketing channel, right? So your job is to generate that interest. Send them to a website, send them a Loom video. Number 4, and this goes along with number 2, is don't optimize around being cheap. You want to work with people who have good ideas about how to make this successful for you. Ask your vendors, would my offer work well over cold email? Listen to their answer. Look for conviction in their answer and why they think your offer would work well over cold email. If they don't think your offer would work well over cold email, they should tell you and then show you what realistic expectations can look like for a bad offer if you're not willing to iterate on what that offer looks like. And then fifth and most important is this channel really is not for every business. It is for companies in large markets with great offers and high client lifetime value. If this channel works for your business, it is so dependable, it is so consistent, it is so scalable that it can print money for you when you're able to run a high volume cold email strategy with a team that can marry the technical side with the strategic side to build winning campaigns. That's what we do at Otto all day, every day. All we do is think about how to make better campaigns, how to write the best copy, how to put together the best lists, and how to book as many meetings possible for our clients. We don't just get satisfied with decent success that keeps us going. We want the best numbers possible for each of our clients. So if that sounds exciting to you, if you potentially think that cold email could be a good fit for your business, click the first link in the description below. I would love to have a chat with you. I would love to share what my thoughts are on your business and how cold email might fit into what you're currently doing to generate new business. And subscribe if this was helpful to you in any way.